I could get everybody standing to find their chairs, we'll get started. A few minutes after 10, we have a very busy program today, and we have another group, the symphony concert, using the site immediately after we leave. So also I've been planning things, and I had planned to do photographs of the speakers in front of the plaques before we leave. Depending on what the symphony group wants us to do, we may need to take those pictures out in the lobby instead, okay? But I would like to ask all of the speakers to stay around, and also the family members. And it's a great place to get pictures. If we try to do it at lunch, and it's just we're too far away to make things happen. Okay, thank you. I think with those things, let's get started with the formal program. Well, welcome to the 33rd induction ceremony of the Wisconsin Conservation Hall of Fame. And it is also Earth Day, so we're celebrating a very, very special day. Beautiful day to be outdoors, but I'm glad that you're here. I think we have an interesting program ahead of us, and there are many things we want to do. My name is Joe Passano, and I try to slip in a little humor. Some of you might get this. It's very dry. When there's a joke, I'll stop, and you'll know you should maybe laugh. I know about a fifth of the people here, and I wasn't sure you'd recognize me. So I am Joe Passano, but I got a haircut and a shave yesterday, so I didn't look like John Muir, who I'm usually mistaken for. Okay? And I oftentimes found it interesting that by the end of the class, university classes I would teach, students would come up and say, "You talk so damn much about that guy, you're starting to look like him." So anyway, I'm Joe Passano. I am the president of the Wisconsin Conservation Hall of Fame, and I've helped with this ceremony for the last 4 years as president. I've been on the board of the Hall of Fame for 30 years now. When I first came back to the state, grew up in Wisconsin Rapids, went away for 20 years, traveled around the world and came and worked a lot of different places, came back here in '88, and immediately I knew that this was a good fit because I loved conservation history and the legacy of Wisconsin's conservation heritage. And so it's been a pleasure to be president and involved with a great board that has moved this great organization forward. Today we have a wonderful induction ceremony. We'll focus most of the time I gotta learn how to use this again. I used to make a living doing this before I retired. So we are celebrating a wonderful Earth Day, but I also wanted to highlight the fact that we have 3 wonderful inductees, Chris Thomas, Hugh, Iltis, and Millie Zantow. And your program has a little bio of them. And you can see on the other end of that paper in your program, we have a full program of 3 to 5 speakers for each of the inductees. I forgot one other, and I may make a tangent once in a while. We have a luncheon starting at 12:30. We need to drive there. Another reason we have to move quickly afterwards. Except for the speakers, I'm asking the rest of you, if you're going to lunch, just go straight over there. There's a cash bar, so you can start celebrating before the rest of us. And I've asked them to start serving people right away, so that if you want to be on your way for the afternoon, you can do that. Well, we have some extra tickets that I'm going to try to sell. I believe there should be 6 tickets left. Is that correct, Steve? Raise your hand. This is Steve over here. He's the treasurer. If you can stay for lunch and you want to buy a ticket for $25, that will help our budget because we need to pay for those tickets no matter what. Okay? I want to make a few comments about Earth Day. If you picked up a newsletter that has just come out, in the President's notes this year, I started to think about Earth Day. One would expect that we would have the ceremony a lot of years on Earth Day, but I think we've probably only had it on Earth Day maybe 3 times in the last 33 years. Usually it's a different part of the month, a different part of the week. At the same time as I walked through my woods in my field, I realized that Gaylord Nelson, who founded Earth Day in 1970, changed my life, and I suspect it may have changed a lot of your lives. I know that most of us are a little older than we were then, at least I am, but the memory is still very strong of April 22nd, 1970. I was just starting graduate school at Utah State University, moving forward with a degree in scientific ecology, which was still a new discipline at that time. And Earth Day came along, and it changed my perspective about what ecology should be. I still finished my scientific ecology degree, taking probably 20 different ecology courses. But Gaylord Nelson suggested that there's another role that an ecologist should play, and that is to be an advocate for nature and for the protection of nature. I then moved and also got a degree in environmental education and did a lot of work with public relations and communications, and it turned out to be a fantastic career for me. But much of that I credit back to Gaylord Nelson, who I've only met a few times in my life. In the newsletter, I highlighted in my opening paragraph this comment. On April 22nd, 1970, Gaylord Nelson pounded a stake in the long line of history and declared it Earth Day. As with many things he did, that stake changed the world. Over those years, he sponsored most of the major legislation of the 1960s and the 70s. He pushed with all the people behind him and supporting him to get a president, Richard Nixon, who was not an environmentalist at the time, to actually sign many of those laws. So out of this story, I see that this is really not just a day of celebration, but it is also a day, Earth Day is also a battle cry. And I think Gaylord Nelson would highlight the fact that you need to be an active citizen if you're going to make the world a better place to live. Up here, sometimes I have my students see if they can identify some of these great Wisconsin conservationists. Can anyone pick Gaylord Nelson out of this? Yeah. Which one is he? Someone who knows him. Way over here. Over here, right? Yes. So he was a passionate environmentalist and an incredible conservationist. In my essay about Gaylord Nelson and Earth Day, I guess I could have read it from there, I highlighted a couple other things that I think I'd like to point out, and that is that without exception, the Wisconsin Conservation Hall of Fame inductees recognize the importance of citizen action, the need to mobilize public support in defense of nature, to educate, to pass important legislation, and to stand up for what is right. Every decade has its challenges in terms of the political field, and while we are a nonprofit and I can't be directly political, I think it's blindsided to think that conservation is not a political field. So I just encourage you to work forward and get your goals championed in the next few years. EPA in particular, an agency that was founded by Gaylord Nelson, is under fire, and I think that's an unfortunate situation. Okay, with those comments on Earth Day, and in the newsletter there's also a photo story of last year, and this year we'll put one in, and hopefully your picture will be there. I want to take just a few minutes to recognize some special guests. The inductees, Christamas is here and her family. Millie Zantow's husband, Woody, is, I believe, sitting over here in the corner along with their son. So thank you much for coming. And Iltis has a large clan of family as well as grad students and others that have worked with Hugh. I'd like to also recognize a dignitary from our community, Chancellor Bernie Patterson, I believe is here. And where's Bernie?
Over here.
Thank you very much for coming today. Doing great work with a great university. Keep up the good work. Often we have some past inductees, but I think this year we have none. Is Cliff Germain here, Bill Horvath, or Ronald Kosashek? Okay. Katrina Shanklin, our representative, will help with the legislative citations, and she'll come up to stage a little bit later. But thank you, Katrina, for being here and getting those legislative citations. I'd like to also thank the helpers and volunteers, Sneakley Reserve, Jim and Megan and others, who have done a great job to help put together lots of things, including the AV. We have an executive committee with the Wisconsin Conservation Hall of Fame. I'd like to compliment them for their help in putting this performance on. And as always, family members get involved. So I think my wife, Lynn, raise your hand, Lynn, has probably done more work than I even have done helping out with today's events in the last 4 months of putting it together. And my daughter, who could not be here today, is the artist that put the sketch, I should say the portrait together for the plaques that you'll see later today. To round out our Earth Day celebration part, we have some music. I decided that a lot of people like music. I know that Bill Iltis liked music. I like music. And I remember back to the 1970s, what I did on Earth Day, first Earth Day, while Gaylord Nelson was crisscrossing across the nation from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. A group of friends and I became troubadours, and we went to 5 schools within our community and a couple civic centers and put on a wonderful celebration of Earth Day and the need to rally in support of Earth. So it seems fitting that today we would have a good friend of Hugh Iltis and his family join us as a phenomenal, I've heard him just a little bit ago, classical guitarist. He's also a composer. So Tom Allen, I'd like you to come up to the stage and be a minstrel for the good Earth for a few moments.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here, and very happy to be honoring Hugh Iltis, who was a very good friend of my father, Paul J. Allen, who was chair of botany during the 1960s, and our families became very good family friends with the Iltises. Hugh also loved classical music. I remember seeing him at the Union Theater in a concert with Mozart in about 1955 when I was about 8, and he gave me a recording of Richard Dyer Bennett, the first taste I had of classical guitar songs, of which I have now written many. And this one is about the need for the wild, for the outdoors, for the wilderness, and how a tech version of it will not do. It's called If I Was a Radio. If I was a radio, I'm hearing mostly static. I gotta tune in myself. I gotta tune in myself. I don't know where I'm going, I'm feeling something's missing. I'm out here on a journey and I'm not gonna make it home. I gotta tune in myself. I gotta tune in myself. I can't seem to find my way, I feel a little trapped and I don't want to destroy myself, but something's getting overlooked. If I was a TV, I'd be seeing mostly snow. I gotta tune in myself. I gotta tune in myself. Me, I don't use nasty chemicals, I simply get the feeling that something's passed me by. I gotta tune in myself. I gotta tune in myself. I feel like I'm a 10-room house and only 3 are getting used. I'd like to fly and change the world, discover mosses, twigs and ferns, the flying paths of Arctic terns, the fox's dens, the bogs and fens, the things that bloom beneath the snow. If I was a keypad, I'd be stumbling on the mouse. I gotta tune in myself. I gotta tune in myself. Terms is a reference to work done by Sumner Madison, a good friend of mine, and when Wisconsin was on the verge of winning or losing the national basketball championship, I said I'd give 100 national sports championships for one Aldo Leopold, one John Muir, one Hugh Iltis, or one Gaylord Nelson. That's my feeling about that subject. The next song is, a song about freedom of thought, freedom of intellectual inquiry. Originally, the words supposedly come from Shakespeare. It was part of the revolutions of 1848, banned during the 1930s by the Nazis, which is germane to Hugh's father, Hugo, who had to leave on account of anti-Semitism. Anyway, this is Die Gedanken sind frei. Thoughts must be free. I hope this is a spine straightener for everybody here, because you are a brain trust of responsibility for the earth. Die Gedanken sind frei, my thoughts really fly. Die Gedanken sind frei, my thoughts give me power. No scholar can map them, no hunter can trap them, no one can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei, no one can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei. I think as I please, and this gives me pleasure. My conscience decrees this right I must treasure. My thoughts will not cater to duke or dictator. No one can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei. No one can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei. Now should tyrants take me and throw me in prison, my thoughts will burst free like blossoms in season. Foundations will crumble and structures will tumble and free people will cry. Die Gedanken sind frei and free people will cry. Die Gedanken sind frei. The guitar is not like a piano that you tune once in months. It slips out of tune very quickly. And this last one is a short one. It's about the delights of this time in the springtime, and it's for children written at a Y camp. However, tucked in there is, for you guys and all of us who care, a little statement: porcupines are poking people, snakes are sliding, why don't we? This is Hey the Day. It's for spring. Hey, the day is underway, why don't we go out and play? High, the sun is in the sky, earth and shaking, why don't I? Jenny's calling, Red is chirping, Robin answers from a tree. Porcupines are poking people, snakes are sliding, why don't we? Buds are popping, nutties are hopping, nothing stopping you and me. Brook is flowing, wind is blowing, I'm a-going up to sea. Hey, the day is underway, why don't we go out and play? High, the sun is in the sky, everything's shaking, why don't I? Hugh Iltis came out to visit us on our farm and brought a copy of The Four Seasons by Antonio Vivaldi with Antonio Inigo and Isoli. At least he'd Zagreb. He was a very cultured man in terms of music and arts as well as the sciences. Very happy to be here. Kudos to everybody who's being honored, and especially to the Iltis clan and Hugh, because of having known them for years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Delightful. Just what I was hoping would happen. Music as a way, when he sent a letter to me, he said it very much better than I'm going to. He said that to energize the scientific and rational mind, it sometimes needs a boost of music and the arts. And I found that in time that, yes, without a passionate kind of element to it, sometimes the great work of science does not get forwarded. So thank you again, Tom. And it's a beautiful day, Earth Day. Get outside and enjoy the streams and even the turtles if you get that far. I'd love to be there today. It looks like a good day to go sailing. I love to sail with my family up on Lake Superior, but we seldom see this turtle there. A couple of quick recognitions of the fact that we have a board of directors, and we have new member organizations, and we have a board of governors, and they all play an important role. To strengthen the Conservation Hall of Fame, we've decided to invite 10 new member organizations over the last 2 years, and to recognize the great diversity of conservation. So we're really pleased to invite 7 new members who have agreed to join us this year. I'm going to just acknowledge these 7. The other members we're going to go through very quickly, but Aldo Leopold Foundation is one of our newest one, and Buddy Hoffaker, the director, was planning to attend. Don't know if he made it. And Stan Temple is our member. He's a senior fellow there that many of us know. Second organization is Clean Wisconsin. Mark Retzstein, the president, is perhaps here. Midwest Environmental Advocates, Executive Director Kimberly Wright. I think I saw her earlier today. You can stand up or wave your hands, whatever you want. Thank you for coming, Kimberly. I know the next person is here, the MREA, Midwest Renewable Energy Association, Gina Marissa. I'm going to stumble that word, but Gina's here. And the Natural Resources Foundation of Wisconsin have been involved over the years with us very closely, but we're never a formal member. Ruth Opperdahl is their executive director. I'm not sure if she's come today. I know there are a lot of other events happening on Earth Day. Another organization, the Wisconsin Bow, Becoming an Outdoors Woman. Peggy Farrell is the director and on our board. And the last organization is the Wisconsin Tribal Conservation Advisory Council. And I've worked with the Alan Johnson, the executive director, and the new board member will be Tina Van Zyl from the Mole Lake Band. While I'm thinking about it, we purposely invited some of these organizations in hopes that they would help the Hall of Fame achieve a new goal, and that is to recognize better the diversity of Wisconsin's populations and Wisconsin's conservation efforts. And so a couple of these organizations, if you can read between the line, are efforts to recognize people of diversity, and I think we will do that. It also recognizes a few parts of environment and conservation that were not recognized before: the energy, the importance of energy, and also probably the importance of environmental justice. Some of these are highlighted in this year's newsletter that most of you have. I want to just quickly recognize that we have a board of directors and an executive committee. This is the executive committee group. If you're here, please stand up. We also have other board members. And I want to thank them for their help over the many years of work. We also have a board of governors. This is a group of scholars and historians who help us select the inductees, and they are listed here. I'd also like to invite nominations. The induction ceremony is only as good as the nominations that we can choose from. We now have 91 people invited into the Hall of Fame. We do have a backlog of other nominations, but if you have someone else that would like to nominate, please do so. Again, I would encourage us to look at the people of diversity, in a sense, to be politically correct and try to capture some of those nominations. Well, they've done a lot. There's always people behind the scenes that have done a lot. Each year for the last 4 years, I've given a President's Appreciation Award to a couple of people who have helped a lot. This year I selected someone for this appreciation certificate who is no longer with us. And it reminds me that oftentimes there are people behind the scene that really never get appreciated. George Gard passed away this last year, and for 20 years he was our resident Wisconsin Conservation Hall of Fame artist and created the portraits for almost all of these induction plaques. Though we missed giving this to him, we will put this in the Hall of Fame for a year and at least recognize his fine work. Not only was he a good artist, he worked for many years with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and just loved conservation and nature. Just one or two notes about the Hall of Fame, where it's located, what we've done in the past, and future opportunities that we're looking forward to. The Conservation Hall of Fame has inducted, as I said, now 91 individuals. So our goal is to promote conservation and the Wisconsin conservation legacy. And the primary way we've done that is through our induction program. But our mission is much more broad. It also says we should educate about conservation, we should promote it in many ways as we can, and we should do scholarly and historic activities. We have done little of that over the past few years, and we're hoping to expand that in the future. The Hall of Fame is located in Smeakley Reserve, about quarter mile from here. I hope that you will visit it after the luncheon or after this ceremony. It includes the gallery of inductees. It also includes a classroom which is available to civic and conservation organizations throughout the state free of charge. And each year, probably 150 groups meet there. And most of our member organizations are welcome to come and have their meetings here, central place in the state. We also have a very fine interpretive museum, basically telling the story of conservation in Wisconsin. This is one of the displays in that. The Smeakley Reserve also has an excellent visitor center and a gift shop, so stop over and look over that. They've just created a new wood carving. I think it's taken a couple of years, done by students, but I thought this was phenomenal because it indicates that art is really a very important part of conservation. And I'm just reminded that we really only have one formal artist within our 91, and that's Owen Grommy. And there may be other artists that we should consider for induction. Jim, thank you for getting this great carving to add to the Conservation Hall of Fame. When you're at Smeakley Reserve, go out on the trails. It's a beautiful day, beautiful place. They've got miles of trails, and you pick up a map of all those trails. There's also Lake Jonas, which in a sense, I don't know if you understand a little bit about geology. If it isn't a glacial lake in this part, it needs to be a man-made lake. That lake is, in a sense, you're sitting on top of what used to be in that lake. There was an excavation of the sand from that area, and helped to make the Century Theater and the Century Building. We're also expanding our website and trying to reach out, so the new keywords are to grow Wisconsin legacy of conservation through outreach and cooperation and partnerships. We're trying to do that through our new website. In the website, you can also go to all of the past inductees and click on any of them and get a full bio and history for each of those individuals. So in a sense, the Hall of Fame provides an entry or a portal to conservation about 91 and soon to be 100 inductees. This one in particular is then doubly linked to a member organization that just joined, the Alva Leopold Foundation. So you can click on any of those member organizations and they will go to their website and their history. Leopold Center has a phenomenal education program and we hope to expand their concept to the other 90 inductees that we have. We are putting on YouTube all of our induction ceremonies, and so you might see yourself in this next batch. Future opportunities. In addition to the outreach things, we also realized that the Hall of Fame and Speakley Reserve itself have outgrown their home, and through the graces and the good wisdom of the College of Natural Resources and others in the community, there is hopes to expand the current visitor center into a new building, which we will be so happy to be a member of. So thank you to all the people who have helped with this great ideal. They need your help. Speakley Reserves needs your help, and the Wisconsin Conservation Hall of Fame needs your help. So we encourage you to join as an affiliate member. We'll have a membership table outside here and also at the luncheon, and see Gina if you can help and become a member. With that, we're going to switch directly to the presentations of our 3 inductees. This is indeed a phenomenal day. It's Earth Day. We also have only the second time in the 33 years diversity covered, in the sense that we have 2 women who are being inducted, and I'm so proud of the fact that they have been selected. So we'll start the formal program at this point. The procedure that we use is that I will introduce the first inductee and the speakers. The first speaker will then come up and speak, and the next speaker comes up directly. I'll stay in my chair for that period, and I'll come up when we start the second inductee, and we'll use the same drill for that. We'll spend about 40 minutes most for each of the inductions. The speakers I've asked to confine their talks to 30 minutes combined, and I think they've worked out those agreements. At the end, we'll just take a few minutes then to have a legislative citation read by Katrina, and then we'll unveil the plaque, and then move on to the second one. So that's the key. Speakers, there is a small clock up here. Maybe when you come up, you can be reminded that someone else wants to speak right after you. If the speakers are spread out, I recommend that they come up to the front row so that they can come forward very quickly. Is the speaking volume fine for what I'm doing today?
Yes.
Is this everything working here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.